What is up, Shark Nation? Welcome to another episode of the SharkPod. I'm Luke Curry. I'm sitting here in Greystone Studios, and I've got Mark Baker out there in Glenageary. How's it going, Marky B?
Good, Luke. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm ready for this one. Like we were saying just before the podcast, I've been doing a lot of podcasting for work, and this one is a lot more loose, a lot more conspiracy theories, a lot more Bitcoin, a lot more NFT tonight, as we're gonna learn about it. We've got our guest out there, Niamh Aughney. How are you doing, Niamh?
What's up? How are you doing? Thanks so much for having me.
We are delighted to have you. So Mark called me earlier on, and he was saying, we want to know about NFTs. We want to know about what's happening in that space. Mark obviously is an artist as well. Like the SharkPod, we've had loads and loads of artists on, so I'm sure they're interested in this space as well. It's kind of, when people hear about it, I guess it's kind of like Bitcoin. It's kind of the new wave of what's happening in all different types of industries. So it's great to have you along. Maybe you wouldn't mind telling the listeners and viewers, because it's going to be on YouTube as well, but all about yourself, and maybe introduce yourself a little bit. I've got a nation out there.
Yeah, of course. So hi everyone, my name is Niamh Aughney. I am a traditional painter / NFT artist from Dublin, and I actually only recently joined. I would say recently, but in NFT world, I feel like I'm in that space years now. So it's a completely like opposite comparison. Like I'm in the NFT space now 4 months, and it's been a journey and a half. It really has been. And it's something that I would like really recommend like every artist to go into, or even research into why that it could work for them. And yeah, like you don't even need to be in crypto. You don't need to. I know you've interviewed people for Bitcoin and that sort of thing before, but you don't even need to be in that kind of space to get involved. It's just an obsession of mine at the moment.
And so I know, and like I said, it's like that amount of time in this space is like something that's been around for a long time, and like so like traditional art galleries and stuff like that. But what, for those people out there like me, who don't really know exactly what an NFT is, like I know that's like a digital art piece or whatever, but how would you describe to somebody who's completely new to this this type of thing?
So I would say to me, like it makes more sense to have art up in the digital, you could say in the digital world, rather than just have it in the traditional world. So if you, for instance, like Mark, like if he wants to sell a painting and it's an original painting, and you go to a gallery to sell it there, in a couple of years' time, whoever buys that painting from the gallery or from you even individually, you don't know where that's going to go in a couple of years' time. So if a millionaire buys that, there's no way to track it after that sale. So the secondary sales, it's not something that you think of in the traditional world, but it really should be. It's yours, and you are the original creator. So that's the best way that I can explain as to why you would want to get into NFTs. It makes you appreciate the original creator.
Okay. There is in fine art, there is a thing, but it's more for like when stuff sells for like millions, that the original artist will get a cut of any time it's sold on. But for the average person, which let's be honest, the average artist makes up 99.9% of the art world, they don't get any cut at all on further anytime it's sold further. So very interesting from that perspective. But there's lots of other reasons as well, though, isn't it, that it's of interest to people? What other kind of elements does it have over fine art, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be even just an early adopter of like the tech space, so if you're an investor, if you've already, like everyone in the world is an investor in something or a collector of something. So even if, for instance, if you go on holidays and you collect fridge magnets, this is just another way of collecting. So I think people think of it as that it's something completely different, but really I think I would compare it to more the past merely than the future. Like if you've ever heard of like bartering, like years ago, how you would like trade something like a lot of people are doing that now with NFTs. It's not only buying and selling, people are gifting, people are like respecting you because you're already an early adopter of this space. And they respect that. They respect that you're interested in this new technology. And like, it's so easy to make friends as well in this space because there's not so many people that are traditional artists as well in this space. Like most people I know that are in this NFT community, they would be digital artists. So me being a traditional artist, I do stand out. And I think that's an advantage as well for those like, I would say like real artists, as in because it's a longer process, a much longer process that maybe it's not as appreciated as well as digital because you can get digital work out like every single day, whereas traditional, you can't really start and finish anything in the same day. It's nearly impossible. I know for me, it could take me like 1 month to 2 months to kind of start and finish a painting. So you would be maybe, it would be like less popular in that way in the traditional world. It's harder to get your name out there, whereas the NFT space helps push that kind of, like you have a different ego, you have a different like online presence being in the NFT community, and it's a much more like respected community. Like I know, Mark, we were speaking previously about like galleries that you've like previously showcased your work there. For me, like before, I was rejected in these type of galleries, whereas in the NFT, in the metaverse is what we call it. So the metaverse is basically just like your online like exhibition of all of your works that you've minted. So if any of this doesn't make sense, like just stop me and I'll explain. But your minted works, which is just your like listed artworks up in the NFT space, like everyone is accepted. And I think that's important to showcase, like everyone has different talents and everyone has different styles. Whereas I think in the traditional world, like if I go to like Dublin city centre and I want to go into one of the galleries, like you have to pay a fee, you have to, maybe you're in a certain wall because the painting next to you has that certain style. Like I think to a certain extent that's good, but more so it's like it's really bad because it's that kind of like stereotype, and you know it's difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult, I don't think, for artists, like, because then that means basically it's all to do with like your connections and like building connections up and getting your name out there. Like not everyone is like good at talking to people, not everyone would go onto a podcast and that sort of thing. So I like to find people's talent from all areas and not just the same process, if that makes sense. I like seeing like from all different kind of all different ways of life. Like
it's such an interesting thing as well, because you're really hitting the nail on the head there. I watched Mark's career as an artist, and, you know, I wasn't an artist myself, but I watched Mark's career kind of every step of the way, getting into galleries, really working hard to get noticed, get out there. You're flying over to London, Mark. You're putting some hustle behind it, right? And it's one of those industries that's just full of gatekeepers, isn't it? It's like I'm going to decide whether you're going to be up there or not. It's like, it's not the public deciding what they prefer, So with anything that's like this, where it kind of takes like someone said to me the other day, I was doing it. So like I said, I was doing another podcast for work, and they're saying, "Oh, there's so many podcasts out there." I said, everyone should have their own podcast. Why don't they? Like, if you like to listen to this or like to listen to something else, that's no problem. But it's waiting around for somebody to give you permission to do something. That's kind of over now. I don't want to be in any situation like that. Anytime where you have to go to an interview for something, like if you're a creative person, you should be just putting it out there. And it seems, I don't know much about it. I just basically learning right now, Mark, but it seems like this is I'm all in on this, Mark. What do you think?
Well, essentially it's decentralizing everything again. Like everything seems to be getting decentralized. Yeah, you're right. The art world there is a lot of gatekeepers, and you're at the mercy of what they think is right, and especially as a young artist, it's very, very tough to get in. To be honest, you can only really get into a good gallery if you can prove you can sell something and sell it quick. You know, whether they want to admit it or not, that is the truth. And if you can prove that, and I did, that's the only reason I got in. It wasn't because of what I was doing. In fact, what I do is too commercial for a lot of other galleries. But like that doesn't make sense to me. I was saying, like, it's too kind of popular. The images, the celebrities, that kind of thing. But I knew there was buyers out there, and you know, when I was allowed to get into certain galleries, you know, I proved they could sell. But when I, like, the internet was kind of the step after that, as you can sell on your website and stuff. So then for the last 10 years, everybody's been doing that, selling on their website and through social media. But that's quite limiting. I think it's very hard to get traffic to a website. So I think this is probably the next, NFTs are probably the next step after that. Probably it seems like they might be jumping about 10 steps by the sounds of it. And I think that's why people get a bit scared by it, and traditional artists will get scared by it. But I'm not afraid to be open-minded, you know. Art is art, and it doesn't have to just be art as well, actually, doesn't it? It can be like not just like images, like it
can be tweets. Like I've seen,
hold on, that's where it starts getting hard to understand for people, I think. So tell us some types of NFTs that are.
So, like, even when I first started, like, I had the intention of just selling like original commissions that I did, and like whatever I wanted to do. If I wanted to explore something new, like to test out something, I would mint it as a token, mint it as an NFT, and try and see if there's, you know, like if there is like any eyes basically on it, if anyone wants to purchase it, to just test the waters to see like if it's popular, basically. I tried animations. I tried actually like turning a few of my paintings into animations, and like it's fun, the process to trying out something new. But I think it's really important to like stick to the same style. But like that's the way you're gonna become well known. It's gonna be easier to sell. If I try out something completely different, like take a screenshot of a tweet that I made, like realistically, you're not gonna sell that straight away. It could take a couple of months or a year or something.
Niamh, what would make someone want to buy a screenshot of a tweet? Genuine question.
It's like a Trump tweet or something. 100%. Like,
yeah, it's creating hype. Once you have the hype there, I mean, obviously it's going to be easier for a celebrity to do something like that. Like personally, I wouldn't ever like take a screenshot of like a tweet just to see if it sells, because that's not proving anything to me, or like my talent or my future or anything whatsoever. I think anyone that does that, like, it's not art, but like that's kind of like a story for another day as well. Like there's so many entrepreneurs out there that are selling like photographs of themselves and minting it as an NFT. I think that should be separate, but at the moment, because everything is so new, it's all combined under the one. And as you said, like there's no gatekeepers, so with that obviously comes disadvantages as well. It's not all advantages. There's definitely not all advantages. Like there's so many disadvantages to NFTs. So like, even though I do recommend everyone to have a look at it and research it, there's so many disadvantages out there, like so many risks involved as well. So it's definitely not for everyone. But if you are like an artist, like a traditional artist, I think it's something that you could end up easily make more like passive income rather than the actual.
I love that phrase, those words, passive income. Tell me more about that.
Ching ching. No.
Mark with the work until midnight every night.
Googling words, how can I make more money every day? Yeah, like I think once you can prove to yourself you can create extra income, like an extra stream of income, that's obviously another way of you, say, leaving your standard 9-to-5 job. And like that was one thing I wanted to prove to myself, like, is this something that could like change my life? And like with like I haven't even been in the space half a year now, and already I like 100% know it could change my life and people's life around me. And that's not the only reason why I want to get involved. It's because I know it's the future. And I think there's so many different utilities that can be used for it, not just for artists, not just for like traditional artists or digital artists. Like there's so much more to it. Like, I don't know if you have seen like any news articles about NFTs recently, but like NASA like sold like a satellite through an NFT. Like it's not just like artwork, it's really like it's like another dimension already, you know?
Yeah. So and what does NFT stand for again?
So it stands for non-fungible token. So basically, because it's not like tangible, you can't like, you don't have it there. You don't like, you know, if you believe in God, you don't actually get to see them. You just have the belief there. So that's kind of where it comes from.
It's like, and do you know what it reminds me of a little bit as well? Like it seems like, you know, you can track, you know, the originality of these things. And I remember watching a documentary years and years ago, and it was about art heists, Mark Baker, and they were saying that, you know, it's the third or fourth largest crime in the world, but they don't report it because if they reported it as much as it happens, people would be like, well, how easy is it to rob this? And I remember I was in Dublin, the art gallery in Dublin. I was looking at the Caravaggio, one of those, Mark. You know the one.
Second one, yeah.
Yeah, second one. And I was sitting there and I was saying like, it was only, it was hanging off the wall on a couple of strings. I'm like, I don't know if they could stop me. I was looking at the elderly security guard. I'm like, I don't know. You know, even with, anyway, a couple of guys. Anyway, I think that was actually stolen before. Anyway, my point is with the NFTs, I guess that's not, you can't really steal. It's on the blockchain. Is that I'm just assuming it's on the blockchain. I don't know what a blockchain is, but I feel like it's on it.
Yeah. So what you were saying about like Bitcoin is a blockchain. What I sell my NFTs mainly off is Ethereum. That's another blockchain. So they're completely separate. It's like saying basically like dollars and euros, you know, the value changes every day. It's the exact same with Ethereum and Bitcoin, except that this market is 24 hours. It doesn't start at 9 a.m. USA time. It's constant and it's much more fierce. Every second is much more fierce rather than like a stock market or currency value.
And does it, so when you produce or when you mint, and when you use all these new words, Mark, when you mint a NFT, is there like a marketplace that you're kind of listing them on? Is that how that works, or is it something that you kind of get your name out there through like chat rooms or that type of, you know, more kind of one-to-one interaction? Or how does somebody kind of get their NFTs out there?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different marketplaces that you can sell. OpenSea would be the number one. And why it's the number one is because it's basically like the cheapest, if you want to say it that way. You only pay fees the very first time, and then it's free after that.
Okay.
The fees that you pay are called gas fees. And why it's gas fees is because, again, like every day it can change. So one day I could mint an NFT, it could cost me like, let's say $10. The next day it could be $300. It just depends on the popularity of the network. Like if it's busy, then it'll go up.
Wow.
So you have to be careful. Yeah, you have to kind of look at really like what's the best day. Usually I always mint on a Friday morning. It seems to be always kind of like the lowest, but again, it can change all the time. At the moment, it's really all over the place. So I actually haven't minted anything in a good while, because I'm focusing on projects at the moment. Have you ever heard of like an avatar project, an NFT avatar project?
I saw your lazy slot one. Is that what it's called?
Yes, yeah, very good, very good.
So that's the only one I know.
Yes, this is the main one that I'm working on at the moment. And what it is basically, so it's generative, which means that a computer will code the assets for us and it will be randomly like minted. So if someone buys one of these lazy slots, they don't actually know what it's going to turn out like until they've basically paid for it. And the reason why these type of avatar projects are so popular is because they can get like a rare NFT if it is a rare NFT, and it's usually out of what the most common like value at the moment is out of 10,000. So you can play a lottery ticket, and you know, you could buy, let's say, 50 of these NFTs and not one of them is rare. That's a chance that you have to take.
What makes it rare, Niamh?
Rare would be less than basically 1% of a trait. So there's different rarities. So you could have like common, uncommon, and then like rare. Rare meaning that no one else might have like these earrings, or you know, a different trait. So it could be background, anything as simple as that, just the change of the color in the background. But it's so valuable because there's actually different like contracts out there with NFTs. And the different contracts are usually like customized by a developer. We have a really amazing developer on our team, and ours is completely customized. A lot of projects out there are just like copying and pasting the same kind of contracts, and it's publicly available for anyone to see. Like if a developer wanted to steal someone else's one, they can if they want. But anyone that knows, like has done their research with NFTs, will be able to tell back, because that's what I love about NFTs. It's completely like traceable, it's transparent. Once you know how the system works, it's very easy to catch out those like art stealers, or that you wouldn't ever find on what maybe if you come across the picture on Instagram, you might find out, you know. So I know that there's like Google search, you know, if you want to like copy and paste, say, a JPEG and see does anyone else have that, and you can do it that way. But this way is much more authentic. Like it's much more it has more equal rights, I suppose, for everyone, for like the collector and the creator.
And like usually when people buy like a piece of artwork, they like to show it off. Same with jewelry, same with anything, you know. How do people display their collections?
Yeah, I get this question a lot, and even like my parents, they always say to me, so you bought, like, you know, you bought this NFT or you sold this NFT, like it's like, why wouldn't they print off the NFT and stick it on their wall, let's say? Like there's a lot of collectors out there, again, like it's not just about like wanting to display it, it's about really hype, like a portfolio. Why would anyone have a portfolio? Like why would you showcase, say, your prints on your website? Like the simple answer, because that's what I like to do. That's why that's what I wanted to do originally. I think it's about showing off as well, in a way. Like I have, say, 100 NFTs. How many do you have? The same reason why would you buy like an Adidas tracksuit over a Nike tracksuit? Oh, well, I prefer Adidas. It's all about like basically like what you like to do with your time is obviously going to be valuable to you. So it's like the exact same way as, yeah, I think fashion brands is a good example, because you know yourself, you can get the exact same thing for cheaper, but you won't go on to like AliExpress, you won't go on to eBay, because you think maybe there's a chance that it'll be like lower quality or that sort of thing. I think for me, like the reason why I would collect NFTs, I would basically, like there's two types of collectors. There's one that's going to hold it long term and hope to get a profit, or else you're going to have someone that's going to want to get like a fast grab right there, right now, and they could make serious money in one day that you couldn't make really with any other sort of art out there. But for me, I want to have it there to really prove that I'm in like an early adopter as well, and that I want to be able to say that like I can hold for like, because I have control of my finances, I have control of the art that I want to keep there for a reason. I wouldn't want to make like a quick cash grab, because I think it's just a statement rather than anything.
How do I know what you have though? Do you know what I mean? If Like if you buy a nice Adidas tracksuit, you get to wear it, you know. How do I know what Niamh owns?
So the NFTs, they're publicly available for anyone to see. So if you were to go on to, let's say, OpenSea, you can see my collection, you can see what I've sold, you can see like basically everything that I've favored, or like anything that I've liked. There's a few different functionalities, but it's not just on that marketplace. It doesn't matter what marketplace that you go on, as long as it's the same blockchain, you can see exactly what I have. The only problem is that, like, so for me, obviously, like, I'm not anonymous or anything like that, but there is a lot of artists out there that are anonymous, and it's really common in the NFT space to be anonymous, because there could be like celebrities out there and they obviously don't want to show their face.
There could be like fine artists who have collectors and they spend 20,000 on an original, and then they find out this guy is doing random NFTs starting off for 200 quid. Do you know what I mean? Just to get in. So I'd say there's a lot of people afraid to kind of, what would you call it, dilute their brand, you know?
It might even be the case that Niamh mentioned earlier, where like we had Owen O'Connor on. Niamh, if you don't recognize the name, you definitely see his stuff around. It's everywhere. It's on plates. It's on everything. And
there's cows and
cows. Yeah, exactly. Everyone, you know, and he was on the podcast, and I don't think he goes on a lot of podcasts. So it was great to have him on. So, but one of the things that he was talking about is when he was getting going as a artist, he was like almost like a door-to-door salesman. He was going to shop by shop, trying to get, you know, to them to license his stuff, or to sell stuff in different retail units. Like, and you mentioned earlier, a lot of artists, if they don't have that, you know, inclination to be that way, what options they have really to get their name out there, you know? And they're competing with Owen, who's going to knock on doors all day and, you know, do it for 10 years before it really got going, you know? So I think the market, it might be, this NFT thing might be a way of those people who aren't into the kind of the sales end of things, you know, getting exposure this way, and they don't even care about putting their face on it, you know?
There's a lot of, it seems like there's a lot of support for artists from artists. Like a lot of the collectors are artists themselves. I wonder what proportion of NFT collectors on the art side are actually artists themselves versus, I'm sure you have all types of investors, people trying to make a quick buck, people trying to make, you know, $1 million. Like, actually, is there any figures that you could kind of say to us that might kind of give us an indication of how big this is? You know, maybe the biggest one that's sold, or some of the names, the big names that are involved, or
what do you mean? As in
what's the most expensive NFT?
What are people paying for NFTs?
Oh, that's such a like broad, like someone that I've met through NFTs, let's say, not just because I follow them, because I see that they're earning millions through NFTs. Someone that I like would have started with at the very like beginning, well, 4 months ago, so not so long ago. Like I've met a lot of people that have joined same time as me, and they've given up their full-time careers because they're making more money this way, so why wouldn't they leave? I have, like, to be honest, most of them are living in the United States, and I have a few Irish friends that are making more but haven't given up their full-time career because it hasn't taken off in Ireland. So I do think it's really important to make sure that Ireland does catch on, and I am trying my hardest to kind of onboard new people, and I have onboarded a good few, but yeah, as you said, Mark, that like a lot of artists don't ever think that they're going to become a collector. I know I never joined the NFT space to become a collector, but I felt like it was like inevitable for me because there was people there supporting me, and I wanted to give that support back to them as well. And I do believe like you still do need to work hard. I think if you're anonymous, there should be a good reason why you are anonymous, because you still do have to market. And for me personally, I wouldn't buy off an anonymous artist because there is that risk of like copyright. There is that risk of like they could be stealing other people's work. And there is that risk with NFTs because there's no one controlling it. So it's up to us, it's up to each individual. It's like our responsibility to do your own research, basically. So if that's to learn a bit of code on the development side of a contract, or if that's to do with like building relationships every day, I think that's really important, so you know who you're buying from, so you can trust them.
And this is all on, is this mostly on Twitter?
It would be mostly on Twitter and Discord, yeah. I have a few of my own like Discord servers, so I'm like building that up at the moment for like new Irish NFT artists to get them onboarded with like local people, because it's difficult, like when you're starting off every single day, like even now, every single day you do learn something new, and there's a lot thrown at you. You know, a lot of people have to kind of take a month off, a month's break, because the brain is just on overtime. So
I think that's why people don't get into it, though. It's information overload. It's why I haven't properly dipped into it. Actually, it might be worth, like, let's use me as an example, right? Where should I, if I wanted to get into NFTs and producing NFTs, where do I start? What's the kind of key fundamentals at the start?
Yeah. Like in your first day, you can mint your first token. But I think it's really important to know why you're selling it. And by that, I mean to have some sort of a description. Like, not everyone is like a poet or a writer. I know I hate that part of NFTs, but you do need a really good, well, for me anyway, because I'm not a celebrity, but for me, I need a good description. So if you see, like, for instance, like your portfolio, if you just had like visuals with no text whatsoever, it's kind of pointless. I know you're a visual artist and like a painter, but you still need text to kind of back up what it is I'm looking at. And it works the exact same way with NFTs. So you need, if, for instance, if you upload like, if you were to mint the Roy Keane, like if I'm an American, I like maybe I do know Roy Keane, but maybe I don't understand like what it is I'm looking at. Maybe I don't know straight away it's a painting, which I probably wouldn't, because if it's that good, it might look like a photograph, or it might look like a sketch or something else. So you need to have a story. You still need to tell a story at the end of the day. So if that's through social media marketing or through when you mint, like it has to be done some way. Because if you make a mistake when you mint a token, it's costly. You can't just cancel it or delete it. That doesn't exist. Like, you have to basically reverse back the gas fees. So you have to pay again, basically, to take it off the blockchain. And that could cost you $100, $200. If you don't know what you're doing, you can make so many mistakes. So that's why it's so important to do research first beforehand.
And when you say mint, I go on to OpenSea, is it? And then that's where it all starts, pretty much. Is that the first kind of website to sign up to?
So you don't actually really have to sign up to it. You just need a wallet. So I would say the first step before you even go on OpenSea is to create a wallet. So the most popular one would be MetaMask. There's an app on your phone you can download, and then there's also a Google Chrome plugin. Google Chrome plugin that you can download as well. So I wouldn't even recommend that you would even take that step, because there's a lot of like scams out there, like even on Instagram. Even though like a lot of NFT artists don't even use Instagram, they always try and like scam in through there. So there's a lot of scams on, it would be like a Google Drive link. Basically, if you click on any link, it doesn't have to be Google Drive, but that seems to be like the number one way. If you click onto that link, basically like they can totally clear out your wallet. It happens every single day. It's happened to a lot of my friends in this space. They could have thousands, millions, it doesn't matter. You'll never get that back. And that's the point, because if you're controlling your own finances, like you have a part to play. And even though there is a lot of people out there that have a lot to say about banks and, you know, a lot of negative news that you would see, like, you don't hear about the negatives in the NFT space about controlling your own finances as well until you get into NFTs. So like, I see it every single day, but for those that don't, they might just hear about the media and the news, you know, shy talking the banks and that sort of thing. But if you don't want any risk, then stay in the banks, you know, that's for you. Not like, NFTs is not for everyone, definitely not.
It's so much the way this is kind of just something that came up the other day when I was having a conversation with somebody who they do marketing and stuff like that for big companies, and they're saying that the kind of content 2.0 is more implementation for people. So, but like 10 years ago when Bitcoin was getting going, like the people were making money from content by driving visitors to the website, and they were advertising to those people. And the kind of the next step is actually implementing for people like people like Mark, who's sitting there, an artist. You know, I can see, you know, you're after lighting the fire under Mark now. He's not going to sleep now for 10 days until he gets his head around this. Like, but I think that if like I said, because you're an early adopter, you're going to have so much more knowledge than people coming, you know, to this space 5 years from now. Imagine you'll be the original. Do you know what I mean? And then the services you can give those guys are guidance, coaching, all that type of stuff. I think there's a huge opportunity there, huge. So it's really interesting as well. Where do you go from here? Is it your ambition now to say, this is it, I'm NFT all the way, I never have to work again, I never have to bank again? I like that as well.
Like, I mean, I have no hate for like the neobanks, but I have obviously hate for the AIB and those type of banks. Like, as in, if they have a store, you know, I think like everything should be digital by now. Like, even passports are not digital. I think is just absolutely insane.
Waiting 8 weeks for my baby's passport, a baby. You know, it's crazy, but 8 weeks and we were like worried about it and stuff. And like, surely you can send me, like I said, just like a VR code. What's going on? Sure.
No sense. Like, a lot of visas are not even electronically, like, you know, they're not saved. There's no sort, like, a lot, like you could start a new job next week and they're all about centralizing data. But if the basics are not even centralized, like a passport, which is obviously a really important documentation, then it just like, it's obviously hard to onboard, to try and say, okay, all of your income could now go in this rather than a bank. And most people would probably like laugh and say, that's never going to catch on. But like, believe you and me, it will. But yeah, like it's obviously really difficult to centralize all data. Like, most people that are in NFTs, they won't use Instagram, they won't use Facebook for those very reasons, because they want the opposite of what's happening to those type of platforms. Like, I actually used to work for Facebook, so I don't have like hate for those platforms. I still use all of them platforms because I think it's still a really good way to get more eyes on my work, and it's a way I communicate with like family and everything. So it's obviously helped me. So why wouldn't I continue to use it? I'm in a very like, if it helps me, I have no problem with it. In a very like mixed area, you know, I'll try everything until I find a one fixed solution. But until then, it's going to be a good 20 years away from finding that one fixed solution.
So Mark Baker, like wrapping this up, is this something that you can buy into now? What do you think? You've in these, Niamh's been at this for 4 months. You're a laggard at this stage, Mark. What's going on? Are you kind of there?
I'm really interested. I mean, I'm in like two big things in my life that I'm passionate about. Is one is art, and the other is making money.
So monetize it, yeah.
But it's important to, if you can mix those two in together, you know, it's great, because often creativity is often not financially rewarded, and that's a huge shame, because it means that the creativity can't grow, and it can't keep going. So anything that gives artists an income is great, but I think you still have to enjoy what you do as well. Like, a question I just wanted to ask you, Niamh, was, do you get more satisfaction out of creating an original piece of artwork, which you still do, or creating an NFT?
I don't really get, like, bar the very first time I minted an NFT, I obviously got like great satisfaction out of that, but I don't actually get satisfaction out of doing that. It's more knowing that it's a new technology. It's the entire process of it all. It's not just one thing. Obviously I love painting, but it is very time consuming, like really time consuming. And like with me, I'm still working full time as well in a software company now at the moment. So like I don't have a lot of spare time, but I still obviously will always keep doing that because I have a passion for it. So yeah, it's really like difficult one to answer, because it's not, I'm not like crazy into actually do like minting a token. The reason why I do it is because it's a new technology and it's something that I believe is the future. And I think it's so much more than just art, than just showcasing my art. Or like, obviously I do think it helps to get like international like customers and that sort of thing. Like I have had collectors, and I couldn't believe it, in Ireland. I never thought that would happen so soon, because I personally don't know anyone else that's like in this space other than those that I've onboarded myself. So to get like, to know that there is Irish out there that is interested, but it's just not that well known. That's obviously like hope as well. Hope for me to know that it will be the future.
To me, everything you're saying means that it's the right time to get into it, you know, for anyone really, but particularly I would aim this particularly at Irish artists. It's just a way to extend your reach in so many different ways. And yeah, makes sense.
I've got an idea. Why don't we do this, Mark? Why don't we do a little do some
I'm doing it, Luke.
Yeah, I know he's
regardless.
He's on this thing right now. But like, I think we could do this, and then maybe like in 6 months or something, we might check in with Niamh as well, and just kind of do a little follow up to kind of keep us honest, make sure that we're, you know, what were the findings? You know, I'd love to do that. And I think we're trying to do that a little bit more, Niamh, on the podcast as well. If we say we're going to do something, maybe have a little follow up, even if it's a 10-minute kind of bonus episode or something like that. We'd love to have you back on. It's been an absolute education here, something that I've never dug into at all. Mark Baker, I can see the glint in his eyes. He's all about this NFT stuff right now. So we're delighted with that. We do have one more question before we let you go on with your evening. Would you prefer a SharkPod t-shirt or a SharkPod mug?
Oh, questions. Do you know what?
Or a SharkPod NFT.
If I can have the first NFT, why not?
So we got the NFT there, but what, you know, do you drink tea? Is that a mug or?
I drink coffee. Yeah. Oh, I love all of these like little gadgets.
Okay, we're gonna send you an original mug as well as the NFT. We can get that up and running. Anyway, the very first SharkPod NFT holder, I think. Mark, let's do it.
That's good.
All right.
We valued millions in a couple of years when we have our next call.
Hopefully. Niamh, thanks very much. Have a great night. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Niamh.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, Mark. Bye. Bye.